Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. We had a little bit of a break, but we are back and ready to roll. And joining me now is head men's and women's soccer coach Tom Cosgrave. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me today.
And Coach, obviously, we can talk about the last three that you played last week. You wrapped up your home schedule, got a pair of wins on both sides. Went on the road against Holmes this past Tuesday, dropped both of those, unfortunately. But your thoughts overall on how we'll start with the women, how the women have played in the last three matches.
Yeah, I thought they'd done really well. I asked them last week, I wanted them to get 6 points with our last two home games to put us in a good position for the playoffs. And I thought they stepped up and done a really good job of getting 6 points and battling throughout the week and finishing off our home schedule.
So you look at that Hines match, that one you won 4-1. Avery Rankin finally gets on the scoring side of things. Her first 2 goals, she scores them in back-to-back possessions, really back-to-back scoring opportunities. The 9th minute, the 12th minute, an assist from Emmy Cook and an assist from Nimue Cutrer. How good was it to see Avery? And it really kind of felt like when she scored those 2, she got a lot more aggressive throughout that game and really has pushed that aggressiveness throughout the rest of the season so far.
Yeah, we talked to the girls about making sure with the way we played against them, we wanted to make sure we were doubling up in the wide areas, and so it was a great ball in, and we told the girls on the opposite side to make sure that they're crashing the back post, both of them at the same time, and Avery did exactly that and finished it off, so it was nice to see them listening to see what we said. And
then, of course, Lisa scores a goal in the 22nd minute with an assist from Emmy. That made it 3-0. Lisa, that was her first goal since the East Mississippi game. I think I said on commentary, I thought that might have been her first one because I just kind of forgot. East Mississippi had been so long ago, you kind of forget that she had scored that one. But for her to extend that lead to 3-0 had to feel really good at that point.
Yeah, she's such a good athlete and she's really good in the air. She's got a great vertical on her, so it was nice for us to finally score off a set piece, off a corner kick. It was a great ball by Emmy to the back post, and it was a really good header from her. Pushed it past the keeper before the keeper could get a strong enough hand to it.
And then the 40th minute, they scored a little bit of a weird goal. You go back and watch it. Olivia Conway was trying to decide, should I come in, should I play it, should I kick it? And they were able to get a little touch on it that got by her. That made it 3-1. But still, I think the message at halftime for the girls is just keep going. We found opportunities, but we're going to find more goals.
Yeah, we just kept saying, keep doing what we're doing. It was working in the first half. And second half, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit there. But in the end, we got the result and we got the 3 points. And it's always nice to get 4 goals in a game.
And then the 4th goal, Nimue Cutrer gets one from an assist from Emmy Cook. Talked about it before. Emmy Cook gets a hat trick of assists, 3 assists. I joked with her. She joked with me afterwards. She said 3 assists is worth 1 goal, right? And I said, in my book, sure, why not?
Yeah, it was a great finish by Nim. We still joke around and see if it was a cross or a shot, but she said it was a shot, so we'll take it and we'll take the 3 points there.
And then you look at the East Central game. This was a game against the team that, again, you had played before. You tied with them. They got an equalizer late over there at their place early in some non-conference action. And this one, it was a really defensive battle. Neither team really got a lot of shots off throughout the whole thing. I think, 4 shots on goal between the 3 teams. Ultimately, it's 0-0 at half, but in the 50th minute, East Central has one bounce off the head of a defender and own goal, and it gives you that 1-0 lead. But your thoughts on this match and how it turned out and how everything worked out in your favor?
Yeah, it was a really difficult game. Obviously, when you're going against one of your former assistant coaches, he kind of knows the game plan and he sets his team up really well, really organised. But we talked to the girls and we said, we used 19, 20 players in the first half when we were rotating for the substitutes. I think they used 11 the whole first half. And so we just kept saying, keep the energy up, keep the tempo up, don't let them have any breaks and make sure we keep the pressure on. And in the second half, it's going to open up. They're going to start getting tired and we're going to create opportunities. I thought we did okay creating opportunities. Just that final ball just wasn't quite good enough on the day. I think on a different day, if we can be a little bit more clinical in the final third, that game could have finished 4 or 5-0.
And then you look at the Holmes game. This was a game where the 3-0 line kind of makes it sound like maybe you were outmatched, but it didn't feel that way at all. In the first half, you gave up that goal in the first 40 seconds, and then you played 44 minutes of outstanding defense, and the other 2 goals, just really good strikes. But your thoughts overall on this one, and it just, you and I talking after the game, it felt like you just couldn't find that shot on goal. You had 3 shots, all of them by Siobhan, but none of them really on goal, and that's kind of the way the match went. Just couldn't find that shot on goal.
Yeah, I thought the girls played really well for 88 minutes, but whenever you play these better teams, you've got to play well for 90 minutes. So I think we had a key moment in the game at 1-0. We had a one-on-one breakaway with Shiv with the goalkeeper, and If she would have scored that 1-1, I wholeheartedly believe that I think we could have gone on and won 2-1 just because the way we were playing, we would have had momentum in our favour. They would have got a little frustrated. But it just so happened that she missed that opportunity, and directly from that, they went to the other end and scored 10 seconds later to make it 2-0, and then you've got an uphill battle. So just spoke to the girls about, as we start playing these bigger teams and harder competition, you've got to take these opportunities when they come around, and you can't give them up. They punished us for a mistake on our first mistake of the game and scored from it, and we didn't punish any of their mistakes. So we just got to do a little bit a better job of being a bit more clinical and get those opportunities.
And you enter the part of the schedule. You've got 3 games left. It's really kind of the do or die part of the schedule. You're in that postseason hunt. You're in that push. Got to get a few more points and those kind of things. But you look at what you've got next week. You're off on Friday. Both teams off on Friday. Then you'll go to Meridian. What do we know about the Lady Eagles going into that one?
Yeah, they're definitely going to be a dangerous threat going forward with the English girl, Lauren Smith, up front. She's had a great season this year and last year as well. She's a threat to any team that we play. But that's the big one, really, looking at where the standings are right now. If we win on Tuesday, we pretty much solidify our playoff spot and eliminate them. So, all our attention turns to Tuesday now, making sure we're ready for that.
So, and don't want to call ourselves looking ahead, but we will go ahead and preview the other matchup you got next Friday. You go to Northwest, facing the top-ranked team in the nation, the Lady Rangers of Northwest, a team that I think has only had a couple of games really be close, especially down here in the stretch. What do we know about that team? What are you expecting out of that matchup?
Yeah, they rely heavily on relentless pressure. They usually rotate their front 6 every 10 minutes or so and try and keep the energy levels really high. So we've got to do a good job of just making sure that we frustrate them as much as possible and withstand that pressure. And like I said, in these big games, we're getting 3 or 4 chances at key moments. We just have to be a little bit more clinical and take these opportunities, because a 1-1 game is a completely different story than a 2-0 game within the space of 10 seconds. So we just have to be a little bit more clinical in front of goal, and I think we'll be all right.
So now we turn our attention to the guys' side, and the Hines matchup, I think you and I talked about afterwards. This game for the guys was probably the best game energy-wise. They really brought it, probably since the best one since Pearl River, and the proof was in the result. You beat them 2-0. You hand the Eagles their first loss. They've now gone on and lost another one since then. But your thoughts overall on how well the guys played during that match?
Yeah, I thought the boys have been playing well all season. We just needed to piece all the puzzles together. We've been playing well for 88, 89 minutes, but letting in sloppy goals. And so I challenged them in this game to just concentrate the whole 90 minutes and keep a clean sheet. And finally, we kept a clean sheet. And we kept saying that to the boys. We've got enough talent going forward that we can score goals. That's not been our issue this year. It's just been a little bit better defensively. So it was nice to keep a clean sheet and frustrate them against a very good attacking side from Hines. And Hudson obviously worked his magic and got the goals for us.
A pair of goals from Hudson. McIntyre got the brace, one in the 28th, one in the 79th. And I think one thing that really stood out, you talk about how well their attack is, only 4 shots on goal that Jamie Durant had to save the whole time. So not only a great job by Jamie in goal, he made one really spectacular save late, but a really solid job by your defensive backline as well, too, in this one.
Yeah, I thought it was the best they've played all year. I thought they dealt with everything that Hines threw at us. They were really good in the aerial battles. They were good in their 1v1s in the wide areas. And so it frustrated Hines, and I think it kind of sent them off their game plan a little bit, and it played into our hands then because they started sending numbers forward, and that's whenever we could hit them on a counter-attack with Hudson.
And then you look to you talk about the East Central game. You win that one 5-1, an East Central team that I think has been much improved this year, winning a lot of, had a lot of 2-1, 1-0 kind of matches, and to go out and get a result of 5-1, it's got to feel good, especially being able to send out your sophomores with a win in their final home game.
Yeah, I think that's what helped out a good bit to carrying the momentum from Tuesday's result from Hines into Friday's game. We could see the boys were really excited. There was a lot of confidence around. They were all in good spirits, and obviously you play a lot better whenever you're feeling confident and you've got a good, happy inner self. And so they started off the game really well. There was some good combinations going forward, and I think East Central just struggled with our creativity in the defensive side of things for them.
So you look at the goals. Connor Turner scores in the 16th minute. A goal on commentary, I originally said, I don't know that was the most well-struck ball that Connor's ever hit from his head, but then you go back and watch it and you go, that was actually, it was well placement between the goalie and the post there, and he did strike it better than what it looked in real life or in real time. And then the 18th minute, Fran scores, and you're 2-0 going at halftime. And I believe again the message has got to be, we had a lot of chances. We're going to keep getting those chances throughout the second half.
Yeah, 2-0 is always the worst scoreline, everybody says in soccer, because the next goal can be crucial and finish the game off, or you can let the team get back in it and then there's a little bit of panic stations. But I thought we'd done really well in the second half of just keeping to our task and doing what was needed. We said we're going to create chances, but we just need to be clinical whenever we get those opportunities, and I think we were really clinical in the second half.
You look in the second half, Alvaro de la Torre gets a brace. He scores in the 51st and 69th minutes. That second goal coming just 4 minutes after East Central had scored theirs, and then Fran gets his brace as well too with his second goal in the 71st minute. So overall, you get a couple of braces from guys who've done a lot of scoring for you, and it's always good to see those guys continue to find the net.
Yeah, they've had a really good connection all year, so it's always tough for teams whenever they come. I'm sure their scouting reports have a long list of players that are dangerous in the attack, so that's the good thing about our team. I think we can attack from a few different areas and a few different angles, and we've got a plan A, B and C pretty much. And so it is always difficult whenever you're coming up against those guys, but it was nice for them both to get a brace.
So then you look at the Holmes match, and I think this one might be the first time you'd say all year you might be a little bit disappointed in the performance and the result for the guys. A match where you felt like, even if you're not even athlete-wise and those kind of things, it still leaves us a bit of a sour taste in your mouth to know you dropped this one 2-1 when you still had chances throughout that whole match to find an equalizer, if not win it.
Yeah, there was a lot of head scratching going on last night since I think we left on the whole bus ride back, and then last night staying up late, and I'm sure my wife wasn't too happy in hearing me complain for the 2 hours before bedtime last night about how we should have won the game. But yeah, very disappointed in how the boys played last night, and I told them that's the first time all year I've been disappointed in how they played. But I think it comes back to what we had to do at practice on Monday because of some off-the-field behaviour, and hopefully this is a good learning lesson for the boys and they can bounce back from it, because like I told them all year, they're student athletes. They can't just come here and play soccer. They've got to make sure they're taking care of business in the classroom as well.
Right. And you look at it, and goalie play in this one, you started Brendan Thomas. He gave up 2. One of those was a PK in the 44th minute, and Jamie Duran came in, played, had to leave because he got banged up on a play. But overall, I thought both of your goalies played really well, and for the most part, I think you'd say your defensive line played really well too. You only had a couple of breakdowns, but were able to recover those as well too. It just felt like going forward, you just couldn't find those connections throughout that game.
Yeah, I think we just switched off, and similar to what we've been doing all year, I think we switched off for both of their goals. I think the first goal was really poor defending and poor goalkeeping, to be honest. I think we've got to do a better job there of staying switched on from both of those two. And even the penalty kick leading up to that, the free kick, I thought the 1v1 defending just wasn't quite good enough. I think after that went in, it was good defensively from there, but you can't be letting teams in our conference score 2 goals. You've got to make sure you stay switched on no matter who you're playing, because every game in this league is important, and you've got to make sure you show up and play your best in every game and every opportunity.
So you look ahead, guys got the same 2 opponents that the girls do coming up next week, Tuesday at Meridian, Friday at Northwest. We'll talk about the Eagles first. 2 teams here that really feel like they're jockeying for playoff position, trying to stay in that top 7, trying to even possibly get a hosting spot as well too. What do we know about the Eagles coming into that one?
Yeah, they've got a new coach this year who's trying to implement a new style. He's a very good coach. He's trying to implement more of a tiki-taka possession-based style. So I think they've had a couple of results that they've done really well and a couple that they've been upset about. So I think we've just got to get back to what we were doing best whenever we were playing Hines and East Central, that free-flowing attacking soccer. And then defensively, hopefully when we get some of our reinforcements back, we can keep a clean sheet and prevent anything that they send our way.
Then got to go to Senatobi on Friday. A Rangers squad, again, very much like the Meridian squad, very much improved, have gotten some results, have really been keeping people closer this year than they have in previous years. But what do you know about that bunch going there on Friday night?
I definitely know it's going to be not the best trip up there. It's always a tough place when you've got to get off a bus and try and play after you've been on for a few hours. So we've just got to make sure mentally that we're switched on, that when we get off the bus that we're not lethargic and we're not thinking that it's just going to be an easy game similar to what we thought yesterday mentality-wise. We've just got to make sure that we turn up, get the job done, get the 3 points, and we can move on to the next game.
All right. Coach, thanks for joining us. We love talking to you each and every week. Lots of exciting things happening for men's and women's soccer. Both teams still in the playoff hunt. Both teams with some chances coming up to punch their tickets into the playoffs. We'll give you all those streaming informations as we get them. Again, Lady Wolves and Wolves are off this upcoming Friday, the 18th. They'll be on the road at Meridian on the 22nd. That's a Tuesday. And then on the road to Northwest on Friday, October 25th. Well, again, we'll give you all those streaming information as we have it. English is hard sometimes. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in. Stick with us through the break. Joining me next is head football coach Glenn Davis after this.
At Lincoln Community College, you'll find a family of instructors and staff who truly care about your success, and not to mention a really fun college experience too. Co-Lin was recently ranked #1 in the state for student success. So whether you need to start or finish your college degree, take classes on one of our 3 campuses or online, Co-Lin is the place to be.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And joining me, as promised, is our head football coach, Glenn Davis. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Coach, obviously, coming off a week where you got a win, it was a little bit of a nail-biter. But your thoughts overall on this game against Pearl River and coming out with another win?
Well, I mean, I was really proud of how hard the kids played. I thought both teams really played extremely hard, and the need for a win for both teams was really high. And so, I mean, I was really proud of our kids. They won a close ball game, and we'd come up short in 2 close ball games earlier. So it was big for us to be able to figure out how to win one of those.
And, Coach, obviously this game kind of, after that first quarter, both teams kind of went up and down the field. Neither defense really wanted to stop each other. I looked over at the Pearl River SID and said, this may come down to who has the ball last. And then defense is kind of locked in, but ironically, it really did come down to who had the ball last because you get that game-winning interception. But your thoughts kind of overall, how it really felt like it was a style of 2 different games where that first quarter was really back and forth, and then everything else after that was really a defensive battle.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with some things that we didn't execute quite as good as we did in the first quarter, and we kind of got away from some things that had been working, and we went back to those things, and then Will made 2 really big time throws, and Matt Mayfield made really 2 big time catches to get us going in a drive in the fourth quarter, and Trey had a good run. DeAndre had a good run. So, I mean, it was, the running game, pass game, got going in that drive.
It was that drive really felt like kind of what it's been all year. It really was a total team effort.
It was. Defensively, it was big. Doug comes up with interception, but, defensively we didn't give up the big play, chunk play. We didn't play as solid as I thought we'd been playing, but, it was it was really good in the second half.
So you look at some of those impact players. We always start with the quarterback, Will Lloyd, 13 out of 20, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. I thought he was really solid for you all game. Like you said, maybe made a couple of mistakes here and there, but didn't throw an interception, didn't turn the ball over. Yeah. Really was what you needed him to be to get that win.
It was. I mean, he made some good crucial throws when he had to. And, it's not, the gaudy stats that he would like or we would like. But, he made plays when he had to, and that's what we need him to do.
And then you look at your rushing game, 105 rushing yards combined between your 2 big guys, that being DeAndre Jackson Jr. and Trey Minor. DeAndre, 9 rushes, 53 yards. Trey, 12 rushes, 52 yards, a touchdown apiece. But Desmond Ray showed up big for you, 3 rushes, 36 yards. He showed that he's got that capability to be a guy that can kind of spell Trey and DeAndre. But your thoughts overall, what you got out of the rushing game out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, like I say, not where we had been, but I thought we had some good plays there. Some of the yards there in rushing, we had some sacks that took away from the rushing attack, and we've got to be better in our pass protection, and that's coming out of that game, that was kind of probably the one thing that I thought we wished we'd have done better was pass protected better.
And then you look at the receiving game, a game where DeAndre Jackson Jr. not only led you in rushing, but also receiving, 4 receptions, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Thought he did a really good job of coming out of the backfield and really making himself available to Will Lloyd through this one. Jordan Richardson, 30 yards on 3 catches. You talked about Matt Mayfield, his 2 big receptions, 23 yards. Another game where you've got a lot of multiple receivers here. You're looking at about 8 guys all had receptions in this one, so Will really finding a way to distribute the ball.
And sometimes, those, kind of gets misconstrued sometimes. The quarterback throws where the defense is not. And, and I think that's kind of says a lot about what we're doing. Throwing the football is that a lot of people are catching it, and, we're taking what they give us and not forcing the ball. And we're getting better there. We just, got to continue to improve.
And then you look at the kicking game. I thought Humberto was really solid for you. 4 for 4 on all of his scoring chances, one of those being a 26-yard field goal. 3 extra points was really solid in the punt game as well, too. Kind of kept Pearl River at bay there, and his kickoffs were strong as well, too. So we talked earlier in the year how you were hoping Humberto would continue to develop and continue to grow, and I think he really has for you.
He has, and the only area that he's really has got to continue to work on is location on kickoff. We're trying to pin him in a certain area, and balls getting out closer to the hash or in the middle of the field. But the other punting, kick, extra point, field goal, those things, he's gotten much better. And
I think people will look at your defensive numbers and probably maybe their eyes will pop a little bit. Quarterback had 238 rushing yards. That well got above your average that you've allowed all year, but I think a lot of that was just he was reading it. If it wasn't there, he was taking off, or the read option, he would go. And I told people all the time, our linebackers were living in the backfield. Unfortunately, he was 3 steps past them by the time they got there. But beyond that, you still had 3 guys, your 3 leading tacklers, all set new career highs. Malachi Williams led the team with 15. Fernando Washington had 12. And LaDainian Davis had 11. And probably the biggest play was made by LaDainian. We'll talk about that one a little bit later with that block. But those 3 guys all setting new career highs really highlight what the defense that you had that day.
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of tackles, but the thing that probably stuck out the most for us is that the missed tackles that we had in the game. And that's something that we hadn't missed a lot of tackles. We'd been a good tackling team up until the night, and you have to give the quarterback credit, him making us miss. And it's kind of us, I think some of us not seeing where we're hitting and reaching and grabbing a little bit. But, we have to give him some credit because we haven't done that a lot.
So LaDainian Davis also led the team in tackles for loss with 3. And then we talked about Doug having that big interception. Doug Nelson really made a big impact late in the game. You look at this game, you look at the scoring summary. This game kind of has gone like the last 3 wins have for you. You scored out on the opening drive, and that kind of seems to dictate how things are going to go for you as a team. If that opening drive does really well, even if you don't score, it feels like the team really thrives off of it. And you look at that one, 2-yard rush by Trey Minor, set up by a big kickoff return by Zyrian Jackson. I feel like we say that every week, but 8 plays, 49 yards, you're able to power the ball in and take an early lead.
Yeah, I mean, that was big. I mean, anytime you can get a short field, I mean, it's if somebody has stats on that, it probably shows that there's a higher success rate for the offense to score.
And then you look at it, Pearl River answers with a touchdown. They tie it 7-7 midway through the first quarter. Late in the first quarter, our guys respond. DeAndre Jackson Jr., this was a 5-yard reception from Will Lloyd. I think Will just kind of found him out in the flat, and he was able to score on that one. Talk about that play and that drive, 6 plays, 74 yards. You really ate up a lot of time as well, too.
Yeah, like I say, DeAndre was the check down guy, and Will found him, and he made a guy miss and got in the end zone, and it was there were several physical runs and good things that would happen during that drive.
So, and then Pearl River goes on and scores again. They tie the game, a 31-yard rush touchdown from Gonzalez, one where he kind of read it, kind of found that hole and was able to scamper in there. It's tied 14-14 after the first quarter, and again, it's 15 seconds left. That first quarter buzzer sounds off, and in the back of my mind, and me and the Pearl River SID were sitting there talking, I was like, yeah, this is just what we expected out of the 2 best defenses, was an offensive shootout at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game, for the fans for the first half, and then if you didn't like defense, the second half was, it's going to be entirely different.
Then you take the lead on the 26-yard field goal by Humberto, 17-14, with 10:52 left in the second quarter, and then it really kind of felt like that's when the defense is really locked in. That's what the score was when you went into the locker rooms at halftime. What was the message to the guys going into that second half, knowing that you were going to get the ball to start the second half, but just knowing that you had the lead at that point too?
Yeah, I mean, we had coming out in the third quarter, we had a 5-play drive, and then we had like 3 or 4 3-and-outs, and that's kind of the disappointing thing is we just kind of got away from some things, and coaching wise that the kids that we had talked about all week for them to do, and then just had to get refocused, and we thought that we go out and open the drive the second half, we could take control of the thing, and it just became a back and forth 3-and-out fest.
So the third quarter, this is kind of what I felt maybe was the biggest play of the game up until that final drive. Pearl River lines up for about a 36-yard field goal. They're going to tie the game, and LaDainian Davis just reach up, gets a mid up in the air, and blocks this one. And I think the unfortunate thing on the block, as great as it was, is the angle that it went out. It went out of bounds pretty much almost immediately after the block. You almost wish it could have gone down the field and your guys could have picked it up, but just that he was able to kind of get his hand up there and block that one just felt like it swung all the momentum our way.
Yeah, they got a short field with the muff punt that we had, and then the defense bowed her back, and like I say, then the field goal block, and the ball went straight, kind of at an angle toward me, out of bounds, and if it probably had another 5 more yards there, we would have picked it up and scored, I think, because there was 2 of our guys running that direction.
But you look in the fourth quarter, early in that fourth quarter, Pearl River just tied up with a 35-yard field goal. It's 17-17 at that point. And I don't know if it was that possession or the next one. That's the one where you go on the touchdown drive, and you talked about it. It was a run by Trey. It was a run by DeAndre. It was two quick catches by Matt Mayfield, both great back shoulder throws by Will Lloyd, but ultimately a 4-yard run from DeAndre Jackson gives you the lead 24-17. And you've got about 6.5 minutes left at that point, and you've got to be thinking, all right, this is our time. This is when the defense is going to shine.
Right. They did. They played. They made them earn every yard they got going down the field, and I thought that was said a lot about our defense, about not falling asleep on things that they were trying to do, and we were more gap sound and assignment sound during that drive. And
then you look at those last couple of plays. You thought Pearl River had tied it up or had gotten an extra point away from tying it. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for the Wolves, there was a lineman about 8 yards downfield, and he gets called for that, and that pushes the ball back. And then on what's ultimately the last play that Pearl River has, quarterback got a little loose, throws the ball. I didn't realize that Doug had picked it off until after they had called it. I knew our guys were celebrating. I thought they were celebrating because it was basically going to be a turnover on downs. But you almost thought maybe they were going to call offsetting penalties because Champ hits the quarterback maybe a little bit late. But overall, you get the ball back there and you're able to close out the game. And just a great play from the defense.
Yeah, it was big. We got a little pressure, forced him to move around, and Doug read his eyes and broke in front of the receiver, and it was, like I say, it was a mighty big play.
So you look at the game this week. You've got Gulf Coast coming in here. It's the NJCAA game of the week. Going to be on ESPN Plus. All those kind of things. All those extra things that, as a coach, you don't really want to have to worry yourself about. But this game is larger than all of that. It's Gulf Coast coming in here ranked, but up top on top of all that, it's a fight for first place. Both teams coming in with 1 loss in the division, but what do we know about the Bulldogs coming into this one?
Well, they're a very good football team. They've done a great job recruiting players, and obviously, last week, they were upset, and the game is big, like you said, for a lot of reasons. It's a big deal for our league. It's a lot of notoriety goes out for that, and it's big for our players to be seen on television, and for coaches all over America that are able to watch the game and get a recruiting evaluation on them. But it'll be a tough, hard-fought game. I think our guys are looking forward to playing and are excited about what it does mean for us.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think you're almost in a very similar position to where you were last year. Coming in, this game means a lot. You're fighting for first place, and we saw the results from last year, and you're hoping you get another kind of classic game like that.
It's every team's different, and every year's different, and we'd love to have the same results, but we're going to have to go out and play well, and it's the great thing about football. You can't predict what's going to happen or say this is going to happen, but you have to play the game, and like I said, I look forward to watching our guys go out and play.
So that'll wrap up this week's Coach's Show. Coach, thanks for joining me as always. Again, the Wolves coming off a win, 24-17 against Pearl River. They'll fight against the Bulldogs of Gulf Coast for this week's game. Again, that game will be on ESPN Plus as the NJCAA Game of the Week. No stream on Co-Lin Athletics this week. So if you can't be there in person, we hope you can be, but if you can't, you've got to have an ESPN Plus account to watch that one. Lady Wolves and Wolves Soccer off this Friday, on the road, both games next week at Meridian on the 22nd, at Northwest on the 25th. We'll give you all that information as we have it made available to us. Thanks for tuning in this week. Again, I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin, and we'll talk to you next week.